The Executive Secretary of the Ghana Real Estate Developers Association, Sami Amegaibo, is blaming government for failure of some landlords to charge a legal 6-month rent allowance. He says stakeholders can only support the cause if the laws are enforced.
According to Minister for Works and Housing, Samuel Atachia, government is working on reviewing the current Rent Act to ensure that citizens are not overburdened with 24 months rent advance. The Rent Control Department, in conjunction with the ministry, are in the process of finalizing the formation of the Rent Task Force to ensure landlords comply with the rent laws. The new measure also seeks to put an end to landlords and property developers charging in foreign currencies. Responding to the new arrangement, Executive Secretary of the Ghana Real Estate Developers Association, Sami Amegaibo, wants the minister to start with occupants in government facilities.
The system itself is what is making it difficult for us to achieve those targets. You know, we have our laws that says that you cannot, take rent for more than 6 months. But even the government himself, who is supposed to be supervising that these laws are fully obeyed, government himself is paying 2 years rent for buildings that they are using for offices for some of their agencies. I'm in the renting business, so I know what I'm talking about. That I have rented properties to government agencies, and they paid the same 2 years rent advance and all.
So you think they are causing it?
Yes. Well, no. The system itself is what you see. There's a demand and supply situation. What have we done as a nation to drive the agenda of providing houses? There's nothing. So people have taken it upon themselves to try and put out houses. So they are dictating the pace because there's so much demand.
He, however, justified high cost of rent in the country.
States has taken up the cost of infrastructure when it comes to affordable housing projects to the point where if they cannot even make their money available to the developer from the beginning, it is converted into a loan in which government pays back the developer. So finance the whole housing estate, the project, pay or provide the basic infrastructure, water, electricity, and the cost of that is converted into a loan in which the government reimburses you. Over here, it's not like that. All the estate developers are funding all this by themselves, and that's why everybody's crying that the cost of houses are higher.
Government has begun a project to provide affordable housing for middle and low-income earners.
You're still watching Business Live, and this is our main story for today. And almost a year after the collapse of UT and Capital Bank, and some 5 bankers who have been merged, one of the affected workers of Capital Bank, Raymond Adai Dankwa, who spoke to Joy Business, expressed some optimism in the banking sector. A year on, they've not been able to also receive their packages. Let's go for this story, and we'll come back for the main discussion.
It was sad to say, because when they took over, we were assured, there was even a staff there, but we were assured of our jobs. If for any reason, and they assured there will be, if for any reason, after 6 months, and then they will come out with, they would have done the skills assessment, and then we will know where we'll be placed so that there wouldn't be any duplication of jobs. But just after a month of takeover, some colleagues of ours were sacked. I think they lay about 200 people off. That's GT and Capital Bank. And we are in August. I think 12 days more, and it'll be 1 year. It's been very, very, very hectic. Like I told you earlier on, we've lost 2 colleagues of ours as a result of this hardship. One was buried just last month on the 14th of July. We are here to bury the other person.
Do you sometimes feel stigmatized as a result of what happened to your former workplace?
I've been to a series of interviews, and then sometimes it comes up when they see from your CV that's okay, you were with Capital Bank, and also being maybe a supervisor or something of that sort. They'll ask you, so what role did you play? I sometimes tell them, look, for this, what is happening is at the executive level. It is no fault of ours, because I don't take decisions when it comes to loan approval and other things. So for me, you can't hold me responsible for any of this. At the end of the day, I have a job description to do as deputy manager of digital banking. So yes, we're doing what was expected of us. So it's no fault of any line managers to that, let me say, can be held responsible for this collapse. It is purely executive and directors of the company.
So we go into the conversation. Now, Philip, you heard the story of this young man. Should Consolidated Bank employees be worried at this point?
Well,
In the press release last week, the governor reading again assured that all staff are safe. We know that shareholders, board of directors have lost their roles. Last year, when the UT Capital Bank thing happened, it was the same assurance. But Sandra, from a business perspective, from a profit-making perspective, it is highly improbable and impossible and financially irresponsible to keep a large number of workers in a bank. I was reading GCB's 2017 financial statements, and I saw that they had about 1,900 staff members. And even at the bottom of it, there was a note that said there were some from UT Capital that hadn't been absorbed yet and added to the numbers. If you look at big banks like EcoBank, they have about 1,000 plus workers. Now, there's what we call cost to income ratio in banking. Your income should always be more than your costs. And if you look at line items and expenses in financial institutions, particularly banks, personnel expenses always trump. And I got some data to back that. I was reading one bank's financial statements, and it says over 300 million Ghana cedis in that financial year was spent on personnel expenses. And it even went far and above what was spent on things like advertising, rent, travel, which was around 200 million. So you realize that, yes, indeed, personnel expenses weigh a lot.
Okay, Philip, but first of all, you want to tell us, how did we even get here in the first place? A background to how these 5 banks got consolidated, the UT issues, and then the huge numbers that have been created. If I could put it, the unemployment that is going to come out of this whole thing. Okay,
so I'll start from UT Capital. Last year, through the purchase and assumption agreement, GCB Bank took over the assets and liabilities, some selected assets and liabilities of UT and Capital Bank. So which means that workers or staff of these two now defunct banks had to become part of GCB Bank. GCB Bank already had its own operational modules or manuals and had its own staff numbers. So we saw that last year there were some people that were laid off after some assessments and whatnot. So what the bank that is purchasing and assuming your assets will do is that they'll look at those who fit. And you know, with banks, for example, they might have the head of a retail department. If UT and Capital are coming with their own heads of retail, what are they coming to do with GCB's head of retail? The rules become redundant. Given our current dispensation, what happened last week, the Unibank, Royal Bank, Sovereign Bank, Construction Bank, Beige Bank, all of them might have several heads. And now we're learning that, okay, so Consolidated Bank is going to take the assets and liabilities of these people. Obviously, the staff will also have to be absorbed. But again, you have to look at the fact that the Consolidated Bank might have a plan. And I always say this, it's very hard to say it, but a bank cannot absorb everybody. And if you look at the numbers of the banks in question, the 5 banks that have gone under that no longer exist, you realize that when I put the numbers together, there was over 2,000. Beige had the most from the analysis I did. And you realize that even we heard some reports that they were trimming their numbers also. And like I said, personnel expenses always weigh down on a bank's financials. So,
Philip, if you put all these banks together, let's deal with the Consolidated Bank, for instance, the 5 banks that have been put together. Statistically, what's the number we are looking at here?
Okay, so I've said this on your show before. I would like to put a definite number to it because getting the data on these banks, and you know that these 5 banks, now if you even go to their websites, it refers you to something Consolidated Bank comes out to say, signed by its MD CEO. So that's why I said estimated over 2,000 workers, because Construction, Sovereign were relatively new banks. Royal, Uni were already in existence. And we know Beige had a lot of numbers from their growth from microfinance to savings and loans to the bank now. So they have a lot of numbers. So Beige, Unibank, Royal Bank will contribute the bulk of the numbers. And that's why I'm saying that it will put you over north of 2,000. You understand? Then we add a bit from Construction and Sovereign Bank also.
Quite interesting, and I'm just wondering how these people, the press, the statement that has been issued to workers about after 6 months,
60 days,
60 days. Oh, sorry, after 60 days, and then it's like a probation sort of period for them. What should they be doing at this moment? And what I mean, we've been trying to speak to a labor expert. We are trying to get, if we get him, we'll talk about that. But these workers, how should they psych themselves out for things like this?
Well. That would be a psychological thing, and you know I'm not a psychologist. But just on that, you would have to work your best. And like I said, some roles are redundant. And let me just jump to the USA. 2008 financial crisis, when some banks went down, even before some of them went down, there were some roles that were cut. You have some people, maybe, for example, traders, trading on the stocks and bonds. Everybody can do the same thing. So why can't a few concentrate on it? So there might be, and from the statement they said skills assessment or something of that sort. They might see. That's what I'm saying. You have to work hard to try and keep your job. If you're past
what if everybody's working hard then?
Well, then it's up to the managers of an institution to look at who they want to keep on or who they want to let go. Philip
Danfur, it's always a delight having you on the show, and thanks so much. We tried to get a labor expert to actually speak to us on this very topic. We've been unable to do that. We'll do that in our subsequent bulletin, but we'll pause for a break and we'll be right back on Business Live.
You're watching Business Live. Welcome back to the program. It's a Wednesday, so it's time for the Joy Business Van. It's a story of two pharmacists who are shifting gears from preparing and dispensing drugs to manufacturing car detailing products right here in Ghana. Today on the Joy Business Van, we engaged Dr. Yusuf Saka and William Kojo Esiama, the entrepreneurs behind Autodazzle. Pharmacists Dr. Yusuf Saka and William Kojo Esiama are in the lab today, not experimenting on drugs. They are formulating car detailing products. It's your own formula. I guess just like me, you're wondering how the two pharmacists got into this in the first place.
We love cars. Especially when cars are shiny, yes.
We've always had a passion for cars. I mean, to the point that in school, when you open our laptops, the first thing you see is a screensaver with some Mercedes-Benz or a BMW, and we can tell you what brand it is, what model it is, that kind of thing. So we've always had a passion for cars.
After uni, they got a bit curious and for their PhD research, looked into what products are used for car detailing here in Ghana.
Quickly we realized it's only fabric detergents that are used to wash cars, and we realized no, that will straight away damage your paint, and that's not acceptable. So do something better.
Yusuf and William got to work experimenting with chemicals and developing formulas that suit the climate in this part of the world.
The kind of tests we had to do, we had to first of all buy some products from the overseas market and put them, run some tests on viscosity, efficacy, and what have you. It took us 4 years, the entire duration of the PhD and more. Even to this day, we do research. We're still improving our products because our environment is quite tricky.
Next, they had to market.
Marketing was a bit difficult because, marketing involves a lot of investment. So we kind of did a lot of the marketing ourselves, by going to some of these retail outlets who are interested in stocking car care products, or those who are already stocking products that came from outside. So it was easier to get into those markets because already they were importing car care products. So once you get some reviews, you let them know how useful it's been to some of the people on the market already. They are quite prone to stocking some of the products. So that's where we started.
Yusuf and William take us to meet one of their customers, Eddie, a professional detailer, owner of Majesty Imperial. We get to see for ourselves the magic Autodazzle performs.
So even before. So, and since we started production in May 2017, we've worked with quite a number of detailers, and they've been very useful. I mean, they've helped with promoting the brand, obviously because of the kind of quality they get from the product.
And they have developed different formulas too: snow foam to quick shine, wheel cleanser, paint cleanser, and tire dressing. On the average, they produce about 300 bottles a week. There are plans to increase production.
We started with car products. Now, we've been approached so many times by people who want us to formulate other things. We have built a shower gel brand with 3 headlining shower gels for a company. Yesterday we actually had a meeting with a manufacturing plant which wants us to make an industrial cleaner for them. We are currently in talks with people in the mines to do degreasers for them, and it is amazing when we think about it. We just wanted to make some shampoos to make cars shiny. Yeah. Now we're looking at so many other things.
It's been 1 year of operations, and just like any startup, they faced a challenge or two, but the prospects are bright, just like the finished work.
Ah, nice. Well, as expected, the car looks better than new.
It looks totally different from how it came in.
Yeah, Majesty Imperial at work again.
Majesty. Good job,
Well done, Majesty Imperial. Yeah, I appreciate you, man.
Well, I just love stories like this, you know, people moving out of their comfort zones to do things that they actually
You did get goodies for your car.
Well, speaking of cars, we've got this for our interview of the day. It has to do with the local automobile industry. And you know, the government recently signed an MOU with 2 foreign companies to allow them to operate in the country. Yeah. But it appears that some people are not happy about it.
People are not so happy about it. So we've been speaking to the CEO of Kantanka Automobile, who is in the person of Kojo Safo Jr., and he's so not happy. So let's go for an interview of the day.
Dollar rate. I mean, the ones it keeps on going up. But if government was to purchase more of our vehicles and support us through the purchase of our vehicles for government institutions, we would not be much affected with the dollar rate. We would definitely, yes, be affected, but the heat wouldn't be as much as it is now. And if, I mean, we're not paying duty as well. Somebody comes in and purchases a brand new tier rubber vehicle for $85,000. I mean, if you convert it into dollars, it's
I understand. Just recently, we heard the senior minister say that we're going to be having 2 more assembling plants, vehicular assembly plants here in Ghana to support that of the local industry. Kantanka, you already have your assembly plants, I believe.
And they haven't supported us. I mean, if you hear a senior minister say that they are going to have 2 more automobile plants in the country, whilst there's an automobile plant already in Ghana that you haven't supported, that means you clearly don't even understand talking about industrialization or automobile industry. You need to support what we already have here that employs Ghanaian citizens. Why do you have to go out there, get a foreign company, bring them here to compete your local industries and kill them off? It's entirely up to them, but we are going to continue employing different strategies, different marketing systems to also fight away whatever, because already we have automobile companies in Ghana that are selling cars in their showrooms and all, but we are still here, and we are still going to be here till.
Yeah. But before we end this interview, walk us through the plans that Kantanka has in the near future.
I mean, we intend to open more service centers. We intend to even branch into electric vehicles as well. We also want to introduce minivans, all vans, buses to our fleet of cars, and also make sure that, I mean, we are not going to be known for only saloon cars or SUVs, but buses, electric cars, even motorcycles. Because if you look at our request list, we have a lot of people that come in requesting for motorcycles and other, even 3 tires as well. Other things that we want to do
in the near future in that regard.
And that's it for our program tonight. Business Live.
Daryl, before we go, what I love about the Kantanka cars, now you know, it means where you go.
Don't mind, Sandy. It was brought to you by EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank, of course, the Bank of the Year for 2017. My name is Daryl Kwao.
And my name is Sandra Isanamapeno.